Welcome to our channel.
Are you ready?
Let's talk about it.
All right. So we're going to start with a question that we received about should abortion be legal in Texas?
Mm,
That's a big one.
that is a big one.
So my thoughts on abortion being legal in Texas is I believe that every woman should have the right to choose. She should be able to go to the doctor, sit down with her doctor or her spouse and make that decision because we don't know why she's wanting to have that procedure.
Very true. But I want to take it a step further because I think abortion should be legal all over America,
Yes,
not just in Texas.
exactly. Yes, I
Being
agree.
pro-choice, I still feel like everyone should have a choice.
Yes, I
So,
agree.
because I may choose not to, doesn't mean someone else may not want to, and they have a right to do what they want with their own bodies.
Hmm. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I don't feel like we should be telling everyone else what to do.
Why did it get to the point to where Texas decided, well, we all know Abbott, the bill, decided to say, no, you can't have an abortion, but you said it should be everywhere. Every woman, anywhere, no matter what state or country she live in, should have that right to have an abortion. But yet, somehow, we going backwards. So, what's up with that?
That's a good question.
Why are we going back? This is 2024.
Exactly.
So what is happening? What is happening to our country? What is happening?
I'm just not sure why we're stopping women from being able to choose what it is that they want to do with their own bodies.
Yes, that should be her choice. Rather she decide to keep or abort. I'm pro-life, but it's not my right to say, what are you doing? Why are you deciding to have an abortion? That's not my business. That's your business.
So my question wants to be when all of these women are having these babies, are all the people who are deciding, making these decisions for them, adopting all of these children?
That's a good question.
Because they're going to be children. And if you have women that are trying to raise children that are now falling through the system,
Yes.
and the parents aren't capable of taking care of them, who's out there helping? Are these people who are making these decisions out there helping these women
Or adopting, like you said.
adopting these children?
Because now what? If the woman or the husband, they both decide that they can't afford to have the baby, or it could be a medical condition. What are we doing here?
Or rape victims who
Yes,
just, this is not going to be a good situation for them.
exactly. Again, I'm at a loss. I do believe that abortion, a woman should have the right to choose
I believe so.
because what if she just can't take it? Then what? What happens?
Do we go back to the back alley abortions? Did we
Huh.
forget about some of those?
That's
You know,
that's what it looked like. That's where we going. Again, we going backwards. You
women
know.
doing things, mutilating themselves so that they don't have to have these children. Are we going to be going backwards? The history did not, you know, get learned correctly, so now we're repeating it
Yes.
because somebody forgot prior education,
Took away Roe versus Wade.
previous
You know.
education.
Yeah. So now we
Yeah, yeah.
going back to
Where
where.
we started.
Yeah. That is sad. I do believe that is sad. So yes, I do. We do believe that women should have the right to choose. But in Texas, no. So wow, that was a good question.
That was a very good question.
Yes.
And that goes into, you know, the mental health, of what happens to people's mental health when, you start taking away their choices, you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I know that you said you read an article on a
Mm-hmm.
young lady who was battling mental health.
Yes.
Let's touch on
Yeah.
that
Oh,
a little bit.
Mandisa,
Mhm.
a Grammy Award winning singer who
Mhm.
recently passed. Now, they didn't, say that it was from her struggle with depression, but it,
Mhm.
it has been implied that that is, what happened.
And she was on American Idol.
She was on American Idol.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Mhm. And she struggled with,
And she struggled with depression.
and that's
So
a big thing.
it's a big thing. It's a big thing. You know, a lot of that, when it comes down to depression, I mean, just as the abortion, I know we're moving into this, but
Mhm.
as far as sometimes when you push someone to a certain limit, it doesn't have to always be that type of, depression. It can cause a different type of mental health,
Yes. Yeah.
and these are the things that come and arise from being forced to do things that, you know, the mind
Yeah.
isn't ready for.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yes. I mean, I want to touch a little bit on the mental health because my mom dealt with mental illness.
Hmm.
Thank God that she had her family, she had us to be there for her. But there's a lot of people in this world that are dealing with this mental illness and don't even know that they have an issue.
Hmm.
It's like if you see someone that could be walking around, they have that mental illness because they have no clue what's going on in their mind, and yet we judge them,
Yes,
but yet we don't know that that's what they're going
that's
through.
what they're going through. Yeah.
So that story kind of saddens me that she was dealing with something like that, and hopefully that's not what happened to her.
Hmm.
But mental illness is it's real.
It really is.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So with that, self healing have to come into play with that. So a lot of people needs to be aware of their state of mind,
Yes.
because if it could be anything, it could be a loss of a job, it could be loss of a family member, it could be like we say, the women wanting to have their rights. We want our rights,
Yes.
and for
Hmm.
the mental illness to also be a part of that, it's almost like we have no HIPAA law, you know. So it's like I don't know. I'm just kind of stuck on that not having rights and dealing with mental health, and you know it's just it's a real thing,
It really
and
is.
it's kind of scary,
It is.
you
It
know.
is.
So
Sometimes, when you think of mental health, people shy away from those who have these issues and do not want to engage.
that's what I was trying to say.
And
Yes,
this is when you need to be engaging with those who may be going through
because we
something
don't
because you
know.
don't know. You
Mhm.
know, sometimes it's like, oh, they're going to be okay. They just had a car accident. Oh, they're
Mhm.
going to be okay. You know, it was just their dog that died.
Mhm.
But if it was yours
Mhm.
in your car, and maybe this person can't get another car right now, or
Mhm.
maybe, this was the only thing that gave this person comfort
Mhm.
and now it's no longer there, just having someone there. These are
Mhm.
the things that push people over the
Or
edge
getting,
because sometimes they happen all at one time,
or a bad relationship,
or a bad relationship.
you know.
And so they need someone to lean on and talk to, and just to be there, because maybe you don't know they have
Mhm.
depression
Mhm.
or they're going to the edge.
Mhm.
But when they get there, it's too late. And then you're like, well, I didn't know. Why didn't they tell me? Why didn't you reach
Mhm.
out and call?
Did you listen?
Did you
Did you
listen?
listen when they called?
Yes. Did
You know.
you want to talk to them because you didn't want to hear their whining, because you knew, oh, the dog died. She's just going to be calling me about the dog.
Right.
You know,
Right.
it doesn't matter
Yeah.
because you don't know where that person is
Mhm.
mentally.
Yes.
So you need to talk to them and just see.
Mhm.
And even if they say they're okay, doesn't always mean they are. And my example is I knew someone that would go outside, smile every day, say hi to everybody, was the happiest person on our block.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually committed suicide. And no
Mm.
one knew. I mean, everyone was clueless. He was the happiest person on the block.
What was missed?
We're still just
Oh
baffled,
my goodness.
and basically all you could say was hi. Hey, you talked to him for a minute, never let on anything was wrong. I don't know about the people in his life
Right.
and how they missed it,
Yeah.
but I know as neighbors, all of us.
And maybe that little piece made a difference, just speaking,
Yes, yes,
just saying hi. We've
that's
gotten
it.
away from being human beings
Just
towards
being
each other.
yes, yes.
Oh my
you know
goodness.
and then when we do think about it, there were small signs that they didn't mean anything
Right.
at the time,
Right.
but after it was over, it was like his blinds were open for a few days.
Mm-hmm.
There were a few things that were off. There were little spots in his grass. He had the best grass in the neighborhood, the best
Yes.
grass.
Yes.
But there were a few spots that it started turning brown. It was like, that's not like him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There are a few things that were just a little off,
Mm-hmm.
but not enough off for us to realize that he was in trouble.
Wow.
He had a wife. Well, he didn't live
Yes.
alone. He had a small child.
Yes.
Just you just didn't know. There
Do,
was no.
do you think there's enough education out there about mental health? Do you think that people know where to go for mental health
I don't.
issues?
People have shied away from it for so long.
Yeah.
The resources are there, but people aren't able to get to it or don't know how to
Or
get
is
to
it
it.
easy or hard? Because talking about that, um, I had a friend who was trying to seek mental health,
Mm-hmm.
through the job, through the company, and she had trouble trying to find doctors and the resources
Mm-hmm.
just to get to speak to someone. So
Really.
maybe it's just I'm hoping that is better,
Mm-hmm.
but it makes you wonder. I mean, is that resource really out there for people who's needing or
Those
seeking
resources.
help? You know?
I think it is. I mean, I'm going to say I know that even before the big movement started coming through,
Mhm.
there were resources.
Mhm.
I don't know if it was just a weight on that system, but I
Mhm.
do know there were resources. I never had to use them, but I do know that the resource was there.
Mhm.
What it meant when you made the phone call,
Right.
you know, how long it
Yes.
took for you to get through, what
Yes.
the appointments were like. I can't
Mhm.
elaborate on that, but I do
Right.
know there are resources for it.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and some resources, of course, are always better than others, depending on your insurance, because that's the kind of system we're working on here in America, of
Yes.
course.
Exactly. Yes.
So some people are going to get their help a lot faster than others because you have better insurance, or
Right.
you
Yeah.
don't, or you do,
Oh,
or
yes. Yes.
that's going to
Exactly.
make a difference
Yeah.
always. Unfortunately,
Most
that's going to
definitely.
make a
Yeah.
difference. So
Yeah.
comes down to the dollar bill,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Right. I think our system needs to be changed.
I think so.
I think folks should be able to just pick up the phone, have that number right there in front of them, and just be able
Mm-hmm.
to say, "Hey, I
Mm-hmm.
need help."
I need help.
Because, I mean, I'm seeing a lot of people who's dealing with the mental issues, who's either passed away
Mm-hmm.
based on, you know, the mental illness, or just lost,
Yes.
lost in the system.
Mm-hmm. Or as we've had a dear friend who lost someone not
Mm-hmm.
long ago,
Mm.
and she did take her loved one to the hospital for mental health, and was tragically
Mm.
killed there. Yeah,
So,
under their watch for
under,
mental health
so,
resources, I guess.
but that goes back
Just
to humans
just
not being caring towards
mm-hmm.
another human being.
Yeah.
I mean, if he was in their care, why isn't he still alive?
Why isn't he still alive? And they knew he was there for mental health issues. So if you're there for mental health issues, you should be prepared for what is taking place, right?
Right.
So why should you be abusing patients under mental health and not figuring a way to sedate them,
Mm-hmm.
you know, restrain them properly?
Mm-hmm.
He should have been in the right place. If you get to that door and say he's here for mental health, immediately you take precautions. It shouldn't have been he's here as a normal patient, we're going to put him here
Oh
for a
my
minute.
goodness.
Immediately he should have been dealt with accordingly.
Right.
He wasn't a small individual.
Right.
So you look at his size. If this person gets out of control or is really needing this type of help, we
Mm-hmm.
need to be prepared.
Do you know what happened? I mean, did they restrain him too hard, or do we
You
know
know,
what the case may
I
be?
don't know specifically.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when I finally saw it and started getting more details,
Mm-hmm.
it just came out that
Hmm.
it was a altercation with a security guard,
Oh wow.
there at the hospital. But he was there for mental health.
He was at the mental health hospital.
He wasn't at the mental health
Oh,
hospital.
okay.
He
Okay.
was at a regular hospital that
Okay.
had mental health services.
Okay.
So whether they had him on the right unit or
Mm-hmm.
if he was still in the ER at the time,
Mm-hmm.
these things I don't know.
Mm.
I'm not sure where he was, but I know that he was not taken to a mental health facility itself. He was
Okay.
taken to a regular hospital for mental health services,
Mm.
which they were supposed to provide those services there.
I think
And if you get there and find out your hospital cannot provide mental health
that's what I was
services,
about to say.
you remove your loved one immediately.
Yes. Yes.
Because I've had experiences where
They don't
I've
know how to deal with it.
they
Yes.
if that is not their area of expertise, you
Right.
do not stay
Well,
there. It is,
it should be a protocol.
it
If
should
a
be a
person is
protocol.
coming in that's having a mental health episode, going through something, there should be something in place
There should be something
for the
in place.
hospital or for the police, which we know that's not the case because we didn't saw the news and a lot of people being killed, and they
Yes.
saying that they letting them know when they call 911 or what have you that
This is
my
mental health
child is
related.
going through a mental
Health.
crisis,
Yes.
and they kill them.
They
They dead.
yes. Yeah. Because they don't know how to
There's
handle the
nothing in
situation.
place. I see. This is
That's
what.
where the resources, you're right, start to lapse.
Yeah.
Because there should be something already in place, education and training, not just for going to different facilities, but for being able to handle that on
Yes.
just kind of like CPR.
Mm-hmm.
You're opening a daycare, you get CPR. You're opening, you want to open a little clinic of some sort here, you need CPR.
Right.
Whatever, if you need the training for just that particular thing, how do you handle a patient
Exactly.
with mental health issues?
Yes.
A small little training, then that's what
It
they
should
need
be
to
something
do.
in place.
Something in place.
Everywhere.
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 Everywhere. Because
Yes.
this kind of thing shouldn't be happening.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I
Yeah.
mean, you that's you lose someone through mental health issues, and then
Yes.
we fall into that loved one falling into depression. Do we want to
Exactly.
talk about depression?
Exactly.
You know, how people just get into that depressed mode, and then
Yeah.
that's also a part of a mental health.
Exactly.
You know, we have a lot of people who don't even know the signs of depression.
Yes.
You know, a lot of family members who just oh
They miss
get
it.
they get lost in the,
Mhm. Mhm.
gosh, that is so sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. We touch base on mental health, and depression is a real thing. If you're needing help, please
Call the 988 National Crisis Lifeline. Is America a Christian country? So do we think America is a Christian country?
hmm
What do you think?
well, I think everybody consider themselves Christians. You know, I mean, because I go up to somebody and they like, "Yep, I'm Christian. I'm Christian. I'm Christian." Everybody that's around is Christian. I mean, what is Christian? You know, what do people consider being Christian?
Well, the word Christian is supposed to mean to follow God,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Uh-huh.
But I've never liked to use the word Christian because I don't like labels. So I never considered myself a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me rephrase that. I never like to use the word Christian, because whenever you label yourself a Christian, then people are expecting certain things out of you, you know, and, you know, those are not just because, you know, I say I'm Christian,
Right.
doesn't mean I'm not going to go somewhere and maybe drink a margarita, right? So now they're like, well, look at you know, Christian,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
What does that have to do? You're sitting right next to me having that margarita.
Yes.
Went to the same church, the same service I went to that day, but because I used that word Christian, now I'm supposed to be,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Or you judging somebody in church. Is
you're
that
judging
Christian?
somebody. That's
know?
it. And then you just did the same thing. But
Yes.
because you saw them do it,
Right.
now it's not Christian. But what does that make you at this moment, right? So I never like to use labels to that degree,
Right.
because I don't want to be stigmatized with other people's beliefs,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I believe in God. I want to walk with God
Oh yes.
too,
Most definitely.
right?
Yes.
But I don't want to be, you know, badgered by somebody because,
Of their
you know,
religion.
they're telling me,
that
oh,
you-
you're supposed to be Christian, you're
Right.
supposed to be a pastor, you're supposed to
Yes.
be. I'm human. I fall
Right.
short of the glory of God.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yes.
Now I try not to,
Right.
but I do.
Yes. Yes. We all do.
So we all do.
Yes.
right?
Exactly. Yes.
So, you know, I don't care for using that word.
So do you think that, you know, if you don't go to church, you're not a Christian? If people say stuff to you, oh, you don't go to church, you're not a Christian.
Well, I went to church as a child.
Yes.
You know, my whole life. And I know that my father told me that God is everywhere with you.
Everywhere.
So, do you have to stand in a church to find God? He told me I didn't.
I know.
Although he made me go to church every
Right.
Sunday.
Exactly. Yes.
Didn't mean that I didn't have to go to church, but he
Right.
said I didn't have to find God there all the time.
He's everywhere, right?
He's everywhere.
Yes.
He's everywhere.
But people are being judged because they're
people
not
are
in the
being-
church.
There they are.
You know, I mean, I was raised to go to church. You know,
Yes.
Mama had us up, all dressed, me and Pam up, all dressed. That's my sister, going to church. You know, with our little quarter in our hand, and
Yeah.
and we had to put it in the basket or what have you.
Yes.
But I can say that I didn't raise my kids that way.
Yes.
You know, I fell short on that area because it was like, okay, it's Easter. You got your basket, you got your nice shoes, you got your suit. Let's go to church. Oh, it's Christmas. Let's go to church. You know, it wasn't like every Sunday or every Saturday, Bible study. It wasn't like that for my kids. You know, I fell short in that area. You know,
I made
but
sure
they know
whenever
God.
They knew God.
They know God.
And that's important.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
mine, I made sure mine got up.
Yes.
And they went to church when I went to
Yes.
church. So if I
Yes.
went to church, they went to church.
Yes.
And
yes.
someone can tell you they got whippings because they were rolling around in the pews in the church. And, you know, it's like, look, little girl. You know, you misbehaving in church.
Right.
Get up from here and
Right.
sit down.
Right.
You know, but when I went to church,
Yes.
mine went to church and
Right.
they sat right there.
Yeah.
So I didn't let them sleep in, so they
Right.
had to go to church.
Yeah, I let mine sleep in. It's
Mhm.
like I would get up and go to church, you know, and I felt like my grandparents, you know, was like, yeah, I'm in church and I'm praying for my family,
Yeah.
you know, so we all good,
We
you
all
know.
good.
So I went to church, my kids were sleeping, you know, I'm praying for me and my family, my kids, so they good, you
Yeah.
know, but that's not what I should have did, but I did,
Mm-hmm.
I did that, you know. But when I was little, like I say, my grandparents, my parents, all. So do you believe that folks gotten away from that? I mean, do you believe that?
I believe they have gotten away from going to
Oh,
church every
man.
Sunday. I mean, I remember there was a time when you would go to a restaurant and you would try to get there early because when the church people got out, all the restaurants would
Grocery
get packed.
store, everybody was.
Everybody was going there. But now it doesn't matter what time you go to the store, it's already packed. The
Yes,
restaurants are already
yes,
packed. So they are.
yes.
I'm just like,
Yes,
and I'm guilty because I
Yes.
don't go every Sunday.
right,
I haven't
right,
gone in a minute.
Yes.
I'm not going to pretend.
right,
But I go and I'm like, ooh, get there for the church. And I'm
Right.
like, oh,
and it
Oh,
feels so
church
good
people
when you
already
go.
here.
It feels good.
yeah,
Now I read my Bible,
yeah.
you know, I might
Yeah.
not go to church on Sundays, but I do read my Bible and I do
Yes.
stream, you know.
Yes.
I
Yes.
do stream.
Mm-hmm.
But it feels good. It
Yes.
feels good. It does something to the heart when you reading the Bible and when you listening to the scripture, you know,
Yes.
that does something
Mm-hmm.
good to your soul. It just
Yes.
feels real good.
Make you feel lighter.
But
Mm-hmm.
I just haven't been to the building.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I do, like our grandparents say, the church is just a building. You just need to know God,
You just need to know God.
you know. So, yeah, that was a good question.
That was a good
That was a
question.
good
That
question.
was a good question.
Okay, we have another question
Okay.
that came in. It says, how does it feel to watch your kids go from childhood to adulthood? And what advice do you give to your young parents and society future parents? Did I read that right?
Society's
Yes.
future parents. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So,
That's a tongue twister.
yeah, that was, wasn't it? So, how does it feel to watch your kids go from childhood to adulthood? Oh, well, I can say that I am very proud of my adult sons.
Mm-hmm.
Very proud of them. Um, I didn't have any trouble when they was younger. They were good as far as we could see. Now we don't know what they did behind our backs,
Yeah.
but as far as what we could see and what they did in front of us,
Mm-hmm.
they was good boys, and now they awesome men. And the way that they're raising their kids makes us proud. I'm very proud of my adult children, which is
Yes.
boys and daughter-in-laws and
Mm-hmm.
grandkids. I'm
Mm-hmm.
very proud of them. Um, uh, as far as what advice would I give, my advice would be take away the electronics. Not, you know, take it away from educational wise, because
Mm-hmm.
that's what's in the school now. All
Yes.
the electronics, and that's where we at. That's where the world is going to. But we
Mm-hmm.
won't touch base on that. That's probably be for another subject. But as far as let me just give you an example. When all the grandkids come over,
Mm-hmm.
which they do, everybody have electronics in their hands. Everybody got their cell phone or their little tablets or whatever. My advice would be leave them at home.
Mm-hmm.
Simply because when Granny and Papa are gonna always have something to do for them. We're gonna play games, board games. We're gonna have movies and popcorn. But it's hard to get them away from that because they all together. You
Mm-hmm.
know, the last time they was here, me and my baby was sitting here like, what is happening?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because they have grown up.
Yeah.
So it's like, what is happening? Where are the grandkids? Everybody is in their own little space, and I felt some type of way,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So my advice is to just leave the electronics at home.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't bring them to Granny and Papa, and let them go outside and play. Because
Yeah.
our kids used to go outside and play. They didn't even deal with that.
Yeah.
You know, let them go get that exercise. Let them go and play basketball. Let them mingle with their other friends. Get them outdoors.
Yeah.
You know, that's my advice.
Mm-hmm.
What you got, Sissy?
I mean, my kids, I don't have anything like bad. I think all of my kids, I'm proud of them.
Yes.
You know, I mean, I must say, sometimes I could just be brutally honest, and some people don't know that. Like I've had them call me for references, and it's like you would be, more than blessed to have them with you on your team.
Yeah.
I mean, and I said, I know that I'm the parent telling you that,
Mm-hmm.
but if you know me, you would know that if my child wasn't gonna do right, I'm not gonna pretend that child is gonna do right. I'm
Right.
gonna let you know right up front. I'm gonna let them know too. Don't dare them call me.
Yeah. Yeah.
They would know too.
Yes.
Mine have done. I'm very proud of them.
Yes.
They've all done very well, and they're
Yes.
all, achieving, you know,
their
above and
goals, what they
beyond.
want.
They're doing
Yeah,
what they love to
their
do and
dreams.
what they want to do. So
Yeah,
I'm proud of all of them.
we
I
proud
don't have,
mamas, aren't we?
yeah, I know,
Yeah,
I know.
Lee.
So I mean, I don't have anything,
You,
you know.
any no advice, nothing to.
Um, my advice would be for them just be patient,
Yeah.
patient, you know, patient and um, I think that goes a long way, especially today, you
Mhm.
know. Um, for me, as far as like taking away the electronics, you know, especially if they come to my house, my kids are pretty strict already, kind of with their kids
Oh, that's
already when it comes
good.
down to, you know,
I have a couple of them that give
electronics
them that
and
time or don't let them bring it, but the
yeah,
majority of them have it.
yeah.
Mm,
They're kind of restricted in making sure,
that's
like, you know,
good.
certain bedtimes and
Yeah,
doing all those things already, you know.
yeah.
But I think the one thing is, especially with kids today, you just really need more patience,
So what
you
do you
know.
what what advice would you give your grandkids? That's a good question.
Give your grandkids?
Yeah.
You mean like when they have kids or
No, like
grandkids like
now. I
now?
mean, yeah, like now. It's like because again, this world is crazy.
Hmm.
So, what would we tell our grandkids? You know, just like you say, be honest, be good to yourself.
Be good to yourself.
Be respectful
Hmm.
towards other. I mean, I know that's what we tell them,
Hmm.
but
I always think that gravitate more toward the safety in what we
mhm,
have in their generation for our grandkids, because it would be
mhm,
like, you know, don't trust everybody, you know,
mm.
especially with online, you know, don't get online and start talking to people, you know.
Yes.
They really need to be, you know, careful with what they put inside their man, inside their spirit. I mean, it's kind of like, you know, they're watching all these things on
Mhm.
Tubi and YouTube, and
Oh my
you know,
goodness.
those things kind of they drive me crazy with that. And it's like, don't that stuff is kind of off the wall. Don't watch that stuff. You
Yeah.
know, it's not good for your spirit listening to all that stuff. You know,
Right.
um, I think more just safety. They really have to be careful.
Mhm.
You know, with what
Mhm.
they're doing,
Mhm.
because you know when they do get on the computer and do all those things, making sure they're not, you know, meeting people they shouldn't, especially some of these games that they can like have
I
friends
don't.
with
Yeah. Yeah.
and do those kind of things. I think
Yeah.
that would be the main thing. Just be careful
Yeah.
when you're on that. Don't give out your information and don't be trusting and
Mhm.
you know, because a monster never looked like a monster,
Yeah.
you know,
Exactly.
and a real monster always want to be your friend,
Yeah.
you know.
Because this world is not the same as when our kids grew up.
Exactly.
So I try to tell the grandkids, you gotta be careful. You
Yeah.
gotta and I tell my kids too. I even tell my husband, pay attention to your surrounding because this
Yeah.
world is not the way it used to be.
Yes.
So it's just that I just see our world so different for our grandkids.
I do too.
It is so
Well,
different.
and when you think about it, the access that they had to our children back in the day was way different than the access they have to them now. So
Mhm.
strangers are in our homes, not always out in the street,
Exactly.
right? So in the
Yes.
street, we would go out there and play and you could see danger coming because the
Mhm.
car would be coming down the street.
Mhm.
Now, they're
Right
in
there
the
in social
home
media.
watching on
Mhm.
social media,
Mhm.
sitting on the game,
Your cameras
and yes,
yep. Mhm.
and the
Mhm.
strangers are in our homes,
Yes.
and we don't know that they're there lurking
Right.
until it's too late. Children are going
Right.
missing from inside their home at
Right.
night while parents are sleeping.
Mhm.
You know, so it's like parents got to take more precaution.
Yeah, because the kids today have the cell phones.
They have cell
They
phones.
6, 7 years old, 8, 9 with the cell phones,
There you go.
and I know they have the parental where they
Yeah,
lock it and they can what
yeah.
have you to keep them safe. But does it really work?
And
You
most of
know?
them are theirs. But you think about how many scam likely calls I get just on my phone in a day. If
Yeah,
your child has a phone, are they getting phone calls too?
yeah,
You know, and who are they truly talking to?
yeah.
We don't know all this information sometimes
I
if you're
know
not paying attention.
exactly.
Pay attention to who's calling, who's that number
Yes,
that calls some strange number. Make sure you're blocking it. Pay attention.
yes,
They
because
got to be a little more
those
vigilant.
kids are smart.
They're really smart. Yeah.
They can find a way to get through that parental
Oh, they know how
control.
to do it, and
You
then
know,
turn it right back on when you're not
yes,
looking. And then you
yes.
don't realize they even have the password. How they
That's
know
what
the
I'm saying. They
password?
can get
They
through.
didn't like the pill bottle when
Oh
they
my
used to take the
goodness.
pill. It was
Yes.
supposed to be child proof, but it was
Yeah.
only adult proof, and the
Yeah.
kid used to throw it off. You'd be like,
Yeah.
what? You
So
know?
they just have to be safe.
They have to be safe.
Yes.
Safety is so important.
Yes.
You know, that's what I would tell the
Vigilant.
parents,
Yes.
you
Yes.
know, the society's parents, you know, we're talking about the society's future parents too.
Yes.
Safety.
Yes.
It's going to be more about safety
Yes.
and watching your children. Watch them,
Exactly. Exactly.
you know, because it's just so
Yeah.
much out there now that's so different
Because our
from
parents
then.
had us like right there.
Yeah.
You know, they had us right up. But then, like you said, there was no electronics, no
There was
social media, no none of that
none of
stuff.
that.
But
Yeah.
now it's like it's everywhere,
It's
and I see with
everywhere.
every kids and at the restaurants or at the dinner table. I have to tell them put that down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you having breakfast, you do it.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so I would say let's bring back sitting at the dinner table and talking about our day
Yeah.
and seeing what's going on with the kids at school and stay vigilant with their state of mind and who their friends are with and
Yes.
what type of friends they have
Mhm. Mhm.
and games, do board games, have family night.
Yeah.
That's what I would want my kids to do.
Yes. Mhm.
So, and I know some people, they don't even let the kids watch TV.
Mhm.
It's I just like pick up a book and let's do. I like that. So
Mhm.
it's like you got to get back to that.
Yeah, we do.
So
We
yeah.
do. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. And if you have any questions or topics you would like us to talk about, please comment below. Bye for now.